this is the basic interface of ZBrush. When you first open it up, you get your lightbox here, which can be removed by clicking lightbox or hitting comma. So the first thing I do is I go into document and I hit double to give us a little bit more space here. And then I go to document here, and then what we do is we see our range here, and I like to take it all the way to the left to get rid of that gradient. It just gives me a nice flat gray area to work in. Some of the interface elements are up here, which are edit, move, scale, and rotate. That pertains to when you add a 3D model to your scene. So let's go ahead and hit simple brush. And then we're going to go to sphere 3D and click on that. And I'm going to drag this out. I'm using a tablet. Now what's interesting is ZBrush is a 2.5D program, which means right now we're actually looking at a 2D image of a 3D model that we can use to create other elements. So you can see here I'm not actually able to sculpt yet. I'm just creating a bunch of spheres. So what we want to do next is we want to get it so that we can select only one sphere and sculpt on it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control N as in Nancy and clear that out. I'm going to drag out another sphere, and then I'm going to go up to the top here and just hit Edit. And now what you'll notice is if I click into this gray area and I move around, I can rotate. Now, ZBrush is predominantly used as a 3D sculpting program. It's not used for animation or anything like that. So you'll notice if I click on the sphere, it's going to say to sculpt on this, we need to make it a polymesh 3D, which means we need to convert it from this model that's used primarily for 2D. So that's where this button comes in here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit make polymesh 3D, and now you'll notice that my cursor moves around the surface of the sphere. And I can actually go ahead and sculpt on this like this. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. And what I'd like to do is, as I'm sculpting on one side, have it mirror on the other. So I'm going to hit X like Xerox. And now you'll notice that as I move this around, it allows me to draw on both sides. Now it feels a little weird because I'm trying to rotate this, but I'd like it to be straight on. Well, what's built in, Pixelogic has built in, is as you're rotating, if you hold the Shift key on, after you rotate, you'll notice that it snaps the sphere. Now, notice that my sphere is all the way over here, and I want it to be a little bit more centered. I'm going to hold the Alt key and just pan over. And you can see by clicking Alt and moving out around over here, I can rotate around. Now, what I'd like to do is zoom in on this sphere so I can work on it a little bit better. So if I hold the Alt key down and I click, it initially allows you to pan. And if I remove the Alt key and I lift off, now you can see I could zoom in and out. The last thing I'm going to cover is changing up our brushes. So I'm going to hold spacebar down, and you can see here that we have a option here that brings up all the different brush parameters. And here, if I click here, you can see I can change my brush. Another area is up here. I can change my brush here. So what we'll do in the next video is we're going to get into the sculpting. So this is more of just a very basic movement interface.